Okay, so the previous video is me introducing baby Drew. This is going to be his birth story. So this is Drew Maverick. Like I said in the previous video, my husband and I could not agree on a middle name. So if you are new here, he is our 9th child. He is our 3rd son. We have 6 girls. Our boys all have sports middle names. Jackson's middle name is Espin after ESPN. There he is. That's Jackson Espin. And Logan's middle name is Turner. Logan Turner. Our last name is Fields. And the Braves play at Turner Field. Well, they did whenever he was born. So they changed the name of the stadium shortly after he was born, actually. Anyway, so that's where Logan's middle name came from. So, okay, guys, please stop. Okay, let me talk. Please, I'll be with you in a minute. Yes, ma'am. Go. You know, you just have to do these things. It's mom life. It's never going to be perfect. Anyway, so my husband couldn't come up with a sports middle name that I remotely even liked. He wanted to give him the middle name Legend, which now kind of I almost agreed to it, but he wasn't 100% confident in it, so I didn't ever feel like it was it. Anyways, and I came up with Drew Maverick, and I really liked Maverick. I felt like it was different enough, to kind of match the boys, but also somewhat normal. I don't know. Anyway, so anyways, that's ended up being his name was Drew Maverick. I'll get to that in a little bit. So, alright, clean her up, please. Put that up, up on top of Daddy's dresser. So this is what happens when you're trying to film a video. Harper gets into your lipstick.
Say hi.
You say hi? Okay, so anyways, such is mom life, right? So let me just get to the point of this video, and then I'll tell you the more details later. Okay, ready? So, Drew was born on March 20th. I had put out my 40-week pregnancy update video, and I had shared with y'all that I was really hoping to go into labor on my own. If I did not go into labor by March 21st, I was going to be induced. It was kind of, I don't want to use the word compromise because my husband wasn't forcing me to do this by any means. He had 2 weeks off from work, and I wanted obviously all that time of him being off and being home. I wanted the baby to be here, but I hadn't had the baby yet, and he didn't want to keep rescheduling his vacation because he was nervous. Sometimes he can be an hour away from our house, and he was nervous that I would go into labor super fast, and it would be a headache for him to get home, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, if you want all those details, go see that video. So, long story short, I did go into labor on my own. So, I got the essential oil Clary Sage because I had read that it'll help induce labor. I was kind of nervous to do it though because I heard different things, it made labor really intense and fast, and I also heard that it didn't work. But I really didn't want my them to sweep my membranes because ow. And anyway, so I'm a mess. I'm just all over the place today. So I got the essential oil. I put it on my feet and my ankles, and then I had my husband mix it with some olive oil and massage my feet and my ankles. And he didn't, I wouldn't say he massaged them for long, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, roughly. And I kept putting that oil on my feet and my ankles. I did not put it, so what I read is it also recommended putting it on your abdomen. Go. I'll be there in a second. I did not do that because I was nervous. Because my belly, it was just too close to the baby. I don't know. My feet didn't make me as nervous. So, I did that several times that day, just putting it on. My husband only massaged those pressure points once. Well, so overnight, so this would be early Wednesday morning at 5 a.m., I woke up And whenever, I peed, like 3 times throughout the night. Whenever I woke up to go to the bathroom, I sat up and I kind of felt a small gush. And I was like, I think either I peed or that's my water. And it wasn't like a ton of water, so I wasn't 100% sure. TMI, right? So I went and put on clean panties, and I put on a panty liner. I was like, okay, well, if, I have more of my panty liner so I can kind of monitor it, I'll call my doctor. Well, I did end up having more of my panty liner whenever I woke up, because, I went back to bed. And I was super, super crampy, like, very menstrual crampy. I don't know how else to describe it. Well, a friend of mine was telling me, well, try to, like, time the contractions. Like, they're not really contractions. It's more like a constant, uncomfortable, very noticeable cramp that kind of comes and goes. So anyways, we kind of meandered about in the morning. I called my mom so that she could come over. I think she ended up getting here about noon. So we talked back and forth. She was like, well, do you want me to just go ahead and come over so that if this picks up, you can rush to the hospital? We decided yes. Actually, we decided to, like, wait like an hour and see how I felt. I was like, this definitely is not going away. So I do think that this is labor. So if you haven't seen that other video, this is my 9th baby. I've been induced 6 times. It has been 10 years since I went into labor on my own. So it's like, I know what labor obviously feels like, but with Pitocin more so than, just going in on my own. So I wasn't 100% confident, 1, that it was my water, and 2, that this was labor. I don't know why, but, because you just don't want to be that person going in, oh, nope, go back home. I don't know why we worry about that, because that's what the doctors and the hospital is there for. But anyway, so we decided to start heading to the hospital. I actually went out and walked up and down my street a few times. I can't even remember. I walked up and down like twice, and then I came back inside for a little bit, and then whenever I sat down, like, I could notice, like, the cramps weren't as strong. So I went back outside and walked again. I felt fine, just very, very crampy is all I can say. So, cute. We ended up heading... Okay. We ended up heading to the hospital. I think we got there at 2:40. And what's hilarious is we walked into the hospital. We did the patient registration table. Okay, don't knock it over. You're going to knock it over. Okay? Okay, I told Addison to put it up high. So we literally filled out the paperwork. Another mom came in who was very pregnant, and she said her water broke. They finished with me. They got to her, and as soon as, like, they told me, they were like, someone will, come down with a wheelchair to bring you up to labor and delivery. Go have a seat. And as soon as I'm walking to that chair, I had a good contraction. I was like, oh my goodness. And they didn't stop from there. So I thought it was hilarious that it happened as soon as I walked into the hospital, basically. So I'm at the hospital, and they were like, do you want a wheelchair or can you walk? I was like, I can walk. So I walked up to labor and delivery. And my contractions, after they were on the monitor, they said that they were about 10 to 15 minutes apart. But these were contractions that did something. Okay. So I'm in triage. They check me to see if it's my water. They have to look at it under a microscope, so that took a little bit to come back. But my doctor, I had texted my doctor whenever we were on our way. They already had a room for me, because I think my doctor was like, if she's coming in, we're just going to do this thing, like, even if it wasn't, like, labor starting. I was 4 centimeters, so obviously, something was happening. So they get me in my room, and they finally have me on the monitors, and the nurse was like, are you feeling, y'all go play. I have, like, my 2 sons sitting here staring at me. Okay, I think I'm going to title this video, The Very Interruptive Birth Story of Drew. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so, the nurses, I don't even have an IV yet, okay? They wanted to get the IV in. They wanted to get the IV in. But, okay, so I'm hooked up to the monitors. The nurse is trying to get the IV in, and a vein blew. I never have a problem with them getting a vein. So I think I was somewhat dehydrated because they ended up coming and getting, I can't remember what she's called. She works with the anesthesiologist. She works with the anesthesiologist. They said she's used to getting tiny veins because apparently I have tiny veins. Anyways, so she came and did my other arm. Well, that vein blew. And so obviously it was me. It wasn't the nurses or anything. So they ended up being able to get it up here. Anyways, but it took them probably a good 20 minutes. Well, before all this happened, my husband had kind of looked at me. He was like, you know, I haven't had lunch. I'm hungry. I was thinking about going to get some food. I was like, well, if you're going to go get food, you need to go now. Like, because if I'm already 4 centimeters, like, once I hit 6, like, you know, that's it. Anyway, so, in my previous labors, once I hit 6 and hit transition, like, it's like 20 minutes and I have a baby in my arms, like. So they had given me a choice to either get Pitocin, get this thing started and going, or I could just see what happened, like trying to labor on my own. Well, my husband was kind of like, why don't you just go ahead and get Pitocin? We're here. I was like, because I did this. Like, I did this work. Labor is starting on its own without any medicine. I did this. So I didn't really want to do the Pitocin thing unless I had to. I was about 95% sure I was going to get the epidural. So that was kind of my husband's argument. He's like, if you're going to get the epidural, you're not going to feel the intense pain of Pitocin. So why? Anyways, I was like, because it's just a mind thing for me. So anyways, they said I could walk around for, they said 2 hours at first. And then they looked at me, they're like, maybe only an hour and then we'll check you. So walk around for an hour. So that was the plan. My husband was going to go get food. I was going to walk around for an hour. And then we would see, you know, where I was. If I was progressing fast enough, then obviously I wouldn't choose to do Pitocin. So what's funny is, so it's taking so long to get the IVs in me. And the nurse is watching the monitor and she's like, did you feel a lot of pain in your bottom with that contraction? Or not pain. Did you feel a lot of pressure in your bottom with that contraction? I was like, yeah, actually I kind of did. She was like, that baby's descending. I was like, how can you tell by on the monitor? She was like, his heart rate went down with that contraction. It went back up, so everything's fine. But she's like, do you mind if I check you again? And I was like, she's like, because I think that you're not having very many contractions. They're about 10-15 minutes apart. But I have a feeling that these contractions are doing something. I was like, yeah, I guess. So she checked me and I'm a 6. So it was literally like just an hour later. And again, these contractions weren't like crazy intense or anything like that, but they were doing something. So I texted my husband. I was like, you need to hurry up because I'm 6 centimeters. And he was like, well, he actually texted me back, holy crap, because he's in line at Moe's. And apparently a lady was being a pain in front of him and having them redo her order. And, you know, anyway, so he's stressing because he knows once I hit 6 centimeters, you know, it's usually 20 minutes. Well, I told the nurses, I was like, I was kind of wanting the epidural. And they were like, okay, well, we got to get this, you know, I had to get, bless you, baby. My goodness. I had to get that IV or the saline in me before they could get the epidural. Anyways, so the anesthesiologist comes in pretty quickly. And she's like, so you want the epidural? She's like, we're starting to get the drip in you. Like, it was just like pouring water in me. They did it on, you know, the fastest drip. Anyways, you don't have any history of anything. We're going to go ahead and start it just because of how fast you're progressing. What? Go ask Abby. I'll take it. Look in the drawers in the school room. Like I said, very interrupted. Great story. So, they give me the, she's starting the epidural. It actually, she hit a blood vessel or something, so she had to redo it. So I had that done twice. It actually really wasn't painful. It was the aftermath that was painful, like after he was born and everything wore off. Well, they asked me how I was feeling. I was like, actually, I kind of am feeling the same. This is after the epidural. Well, they realized that the battery pack on the IV was dead, so I wasn't getting saline and I wasn't getting any medicine. So they go and get another battery pack. Well, that one's dead. They go get a third battery pack, and these women are like rushing super fast everywhere because of how fast I'm progressing. I'm like, guys, I told the nurse, it's really okay. Like, y'all don't have to rush like this. They're like, no, you are going too fast. It was hilarious. So they finally get a fourth battery pack, and they were like, why are all these dead? These should be charged. Anyway, so they come in and they check me again. They're like, okay, you're like 8.5. So they, kind of give my doctor a heads up. Anyways, it was literally 4.5 hours from the minute that I walked into the hospital till the minute that he was born. He was born at 7:12 at night. I felt pretty good, especially after the epidural kicked in. So look for tissue paper. Yes, we do. It's in there. He's trying to wrap the birthday present because we have a birthday party today. So they checked, where was it going? So the nurse, the second anesthesiologist nurse, I'll call her, she came in, she's like, how are you feeling? I was like, I kind of feel the same, like, the edge is off, but I do still feel pain. So they came in, and I don't know what they did. They, like, switched medicines, and until they got the battery pack going, they were literally, like, syringe feeding me the saline and the medicine in my IV so that I was getting as much as possible until they could fix the IV thingamajig. Anyways, it was quite comical. So then they gave me the peanut ball. I've never had this in my other 8 deliveries, so in case you don't know what it is, it's an exercise ball that's shaped like a peanut. And they put it on your side, and they put it in between your legs to kind of help bring the baby down. And so the nurse was like, I'm going to put the peanut ball in between your legs. And so it's just kind of like, instead of you laying with your legs closed, this just helps with your legs open for the baby to descend more. She's like, and the nurse kept saying, you're going to blow this baby out of here in like 15 minutes after having this. And she was right. Like, she literally gave me the peanut ball. She waited 15 minutes, checked me again, and it was time to have the baby. And so I was nervous with having the epidural. So my first 7 babies, I had all natural, no medication. With Harper, I did have the epidural. I had a bad tummy bug, and that's what put me in labor. I was so dehydrated. I was puking, and it was bad. And so I was exhausted, and I just couldn't do it. I was like, I just needed something. So I ended up with the epidural with her. And it was amazing. I'm all for natural deliveries. I love moms who do home births. I admire you all so much. I am just at the place where I mentally cannot be where I need to be, and I had such a good experience with epidural with Harper. I was like, I want it again. So anyways, but I was nervous because I was like, what? I don't want to sit here forever pushing. And they were like, no, you'll be fine. So literally like 2 minutes, 2 pushes, he was here, and I was very thankful. So he actually ended up being DAT positive, which means his blood type and my blood type are the opposites. I'm O positive and he was A positive, I believe. So he ended up, they tested him early for jaundice, and his levels actually were pretty high. So he had to spend, they were hoping just 12 hours under the lights, but after the 12 hours, they tested him again, and he needed another 12 hours of lights. So that's kind of why in the hospital I didn't record as much, because he literally was he was in a room, but he was just on the lights for a long time. So anyways, that is how Drew Maverick came to be here. So sorry for this lengthy, very interrupted video, but I hope that you all enjoyed and seeing my sweet baby. I'm not holding him up high enough or have the camera angled low enough, sorry. But I hope that you all are doing well, and we will see you soon.